this thing where you're like, okay, mom was back for like a couple weeks and now she's telling me like that she can't handle it. Like, I haven't been able to explain to my child any of the things that I've had to like survive through. And so it's hard to explain why I can't handle certain things that most people would be able to handle no problem. You know, because normal people don't do that. Normal people haven't experienced trauma that makes them respond in that way. So today I have to send a letter to my kiddo that I really don't want to have to send.
He's at a delicate age where healthy boundaries need to be shown, not just said. And if he's not seeing that, then all I can do is model it for myself.
There are certain boundaries as a person that we don't cross. There are certain ways that we don't treat other people. And unfortunately, I think he's been taught that certain behavior is okay. So the only way that I can teach that I know how to teach that, is to implement it within my own stuff. Would you stop? I'm trying to talk. And then I have another teenager. This one. Right here. Come here. This one. This is my other teen. Come here. Come here. Come here. All she wants is the stick. But yeah, I've been going back and forth with this for like, I want to say it's been like 4 days now. I just am seeing behaviors that are exactly like, well, behaviors that I left. I left behaviors because they were toxic, and, you know, being around a group of people who don't see an issue with something that toxic becomes even more of an issue. So I'm recognizing where certain things have been taught that are not in his best interest, that are not conducive to growing up and not having more issues later on, you know. I wish I had had somebody who had said to me at 16, there are two roads that you're going to go on, and the behavior that you're on right now will take you down one that will make life a lot harder. I had my dad who would sit with me for hours where most people wouldn't, but he never spelled things out for me. He would make me sit there and figure it out myself, and I don't think that kids are going to do that. I just don't think I think that's something that's maybe in the past. If he wanted to sit and talk with me, it might be different, but I think that would be a little too much for him. So I'm forced to kind of make an executive decision that I really don't want to make, but I think that it's in his best interest. I think that he'll grow from it in a way that he needs to grow. And my dad was the king of, I guess you would call it tough love, but he wasn't tough in any way. He was always gentle. He was a gentle parent. He parented me very gently because everyone else was pretty harsh, and they would get upset about things that I couldn't help, I couldn't control. And so I guess I'm just kind of like I'm seeing where there's like, we're at that moment, you know, where it's like, if you don't say anything, you'll still always be mom, but will there be any respect there for them to hear what you're saying? And my father had my respect beyond anything in the world, more than anybody. And it was because he had the ability to be the strength for me. And he was strong in times when even I didn't want to hear it or deal with it. He was that for me. And so I was raised by a really, really strong, healthy, masculine father. And I know what certain things are supposed to look like. And I don't think that all of those things are being delivered in a way that is conducive for his growth. So I think that my choice to kind of send this letter and disconnect off of like social media is kind of a really, it's important.
It sucks that I even have to consider disconnecting, especially now. Because the way he posted about himself, I know he needs me more than ever. But if he's not willing to hear me, I can't help him. And sometimes the only thing that gets someone to listen is a complete and total shock to their system.
He didn't talk to him about himself like that.
And, somewhere along the way, he started saying these things about himself, and he never did that before.
And so I'm not pointing fingers at anybody.
But I've lived this before, and I know what it's like to be given a version of yourself that isn't true, and what I'm seeing now feels way too familiar.
And while I don't want to disconnect, I think that maybe that needs to happen on the social media front, because it's really easy for a teenager to go, well, they have me on social media, so I don't need to talk to them. No, that doesn't work for me. Absolutely doesn't work for me. And social media is toxic as hell. The only reason I'm on social media at all is to build up my photography business. I don't give a fuck about social media. I hate social media. I absolutely hate social media. I had to use Instagram from 2012 until, I don't know, a couple of years ago, when I just said I'm not doing it anymore, for my modeling. But the problem was, before it was owned by Meta, before all this stuff, like, the bikini photos would get removed. In 2012, my bikini photos, everyone's talking about all their photos being removed and how it sucks. I've been getting removed off of Instagram since 2012. That's why I don't fuck with that site, and I don't really take it seriously. Like, oh, so-and-so followed me, and I grew up with MySpace, like our top 8. And so, like, the drama with Instagram and Facebook really gives, like, the drama with top 8. But none of the other fun stuff that, like, we got with MySpace, So it's been a weird transition to just see how social media is really, like, taken power. And, like, when we were kids in school, like, we didn't have these social media. We had MySpace and Facebook. When Facebook first came out, I hated Facebook. When Facebook first came out, it was some elitist bullshit, okay? The only people that could be added into Facebook when they came out with it was people that were at 4-year colleges. Okay, at the time, I was just at, like, a little community college, and they were like, nope, sorry, you're not good enough to sit with us. You're gonna go to a 4-year college. So it started as some elitist bullshit, okay? And no one talks about that, because I don't think anybody remembers. I remember being pissed. Like, and I'm proud of myself. I got myself into community college. You're telling me that I'm not good enough to be on your shitty little fucking Facebook? So back then, I've been like, I don't fuck with Facebook. Facebook is dumb. So I think Facebook realized pretty, like, early on that they had to shift things, and they did. They ended up shifting things where it went from only 4-year colleges to everybody in college. And by that time, I already had a bad taste in my mouth for them. So when it comes to social media, Facebook, Instagram, I remember when those got started. I'm old enough to remember when they first came out with those sites, and I remember what they were when they came out with them to try to only make certain people, it's just a whole situation. And Instagram, when Instagram got started, people were really just out there posting their food, like, super happy to just post their food. Nobody was posting, like, outside or, like, their selves. They just weren't. At the time when it came out, I was modeling and traveling the world with a bunch of other models. We were, like, bikini models, and we'd go to different mansions and shoot calendars. And we never got paid for this. The owners of the mansions were just dudes that wanted pretty girls around. So they opened their mansions up for us to do shoots. I was never getting paid for this stuff. It was all free. Free 99. Which sucked. But, I was young, and so I figured that I was working my way up, But, yeah, social media has changed a lot. And so I'm seeing just how it controls the kids, like, mentally, like, they're scrolling, like, all that stuff. And so I'm also recognizing where it teaches them the wrong ways to connect with people, and, like, to do it in a really toxic way. And then that's just okay, because it's normal. Everybody does that on Instagram. So I'm seeing where I'm like, okay, first big lesson, right? First, like, tough lesson from us being reconnected. And I don't know how this is going to hit, because we're not close. He stopped by once, and then he texts me, sprinkles texts in throughout, I always try to tell him good morning. The last few mornings I haven't. I've left him alone. And I just think that at this point, this is something I have to do. It's something I'm going to have to do. And so I'm just not really looking forward to it. Well, it's got me a bit stressed, but yeah. So yeah, I've rewrote and wrote and rewrote and wrote so many times this letter that I'm trying to write to my kiddo, and it's like,
You know, I worry he's been told I'll leave again, and that fear is what makes this even harder. And I need to share something that's been heavy for a long time. The only reason I ever went back and forth between states was because I was told that if I came back, I'd get to see my son. So I did. I came back. More than once. But every time something would shift, suddenly I'd lose access, suddenly plans changed, and I couldn't stay here because I couldn't survive financially. So yeah, I left, but not because I wanted to, because I wasn't allowed to stay in his life and stay afloat. That's the truth. I didn't bounce. I didn't abandon him. I kept showing up until I couldn't anymore, until the pattern became clear, and now I'm done pretending like that didn't happen.
I have been in this godforsaken state for 5 years now, just hoping that my kid will stop by, because this is the only place that I know to be for my kid to stop by. So it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating that this is my alternative, you know, like,
If I want to stay connected to him, I've had to work around decisions I didn't make, and it sometimes feels like I'm the one being tested, not supported. And that part's been really heavy.
I don't know. I don't want to do this, you know? I don't want to have to disconnect from my kid that I've been disconnected from for 5 years. I don't want to have to disconnect from the only place where I can see what he's doing. But on the other end of the spectrum, I'm being treated like I've done something wrong when all I've done is try to reconnect. Like, that's all I wanted to do. Like, if I was a deadbeat mom, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't be making these fucking videos.
Why would I be making these videos at all if I didn't care? If I didn't hope somewhere in me that one day he might see them?
So, yeah. And I think that my grandfather is about to start mowing this crazy lawn. So I think I'm gonna have to be done being out here because it's gonna be loud. But yeah, I haven't sent it yet. I might rewrite it or reread it, probably rewrite it again, just because I don't want it to be like this thing where you're like, okay, mom was back for like a couple weeks and now she's telling me like that she can't handle it. Like, I haven't been able to explain to my child any of the things that I've had to like survive through, and so it's hard to explain why I can't handle certain things that most people would be able to handle no problem, you know, because normal people don't do that, and normal people haven't experienced trauma that makes them respond in that way. And so there's this aspect of us needing to learn who we are again. Like, I have to relearn who he is, and he has to relearn who I am. And there are things that have happened in between that it's going to require it to go kind of slow and to be really gentle. And so I had hoped that he would be curious enough to at least come find out what's going on, and he's actively fought coming over. So yeah, I'm really in a weird place right now because I really don't want to push him away, but I need to be a good parent, and the harmful behavior that he's doing, he's been taught to do. He's been taught that this is how you respond when you're overstimulated, when you don't know what to do. He's been taught that these are the things you do, and it's not. That's not what you do. These are not healthy tactics to connect with any human, let alone me. So knowing that I am so for me, like, I don't know how to explain it other than it's really sensitive. Like, I have to be really careful with every single human I let back in my life, because I almost didn't make it last time because of the people I let in, because I blindly let people in simply because they were family, simply because they were blood, simply because I've known them for so long. But I didn't pay attention to how they treated me. I didn't pay attention to the ways that I felt after dealing with them. And after 4 years of removing every single human from my life, literally every single human, I don't talk to my family at all. I don't talk to anyone because they were toxic. The things they did, the ways in which they choose to deal with people are toxic. And they refuse to take accountability for the things that they do. They want to blame everyone else. They want to blame the people that are openly okay with actively saying, yeah, I messed up, but I'm willing to learn. They want to blame those people. They don't want to take any accountability at all. Why would I have those people in my life? That doesn't make any sense. After everything I've gone through to get myself back, why would I ever let anybody in my life that thinks that behavior is okay? And now I'm at this place where it's like, fuck, my kid.
What hurts the most is knowing if I'd been allowed to raise him without the borders we've been given, I would have taught him to question things, to think for himself. But right now it feels like he's just going along with whatever he's been told, and that scares me. Because when kids aren't taught to think critically, they're more likely to be used, misled, and silenced. And I know what that path leads to. I've lived it. That's why this matters so much to me.
I mean, at 16, I was, if an adult said anything, I was like, okay, I do not believe you. Actually, I'm pretty sure you're lying right now to get me to do whatever you want me to do. Let me go look at that. And so I was a problematic teenager in that I didn't blindly take anything for what I was being told. I needed to see proof. I needed to see it from my own two eyes. I needed to understand it. I needed to know why things are the way they are. My child was always the same way. So I don't know what happened the last 4 years. I don't know where, and I've done the math, trauma. It was 4 years, not 5. It's been 4 years, not 5. Feels like 5, but it's been 4 years. But trauma adds years, removes years, and so I'm having to really dial in this timeline, like, wait a minute, that was wrong. I came back in 2021. Last time we saw, or I left in 2021. Last time I saw my kiddo was 2021. Like, so these are like things that I'm trying to remember because trauma has hit me so much that these things are hard. These things are hard to remember. And people are like, well, how can you not remember? Trauma affects your brain. Trauma really hits your brain in a lot of different ways. And if you've had consistent trauma over and over and over, where your brain and your nervous system is continually like revving, you'll get a burnout. And when you burn out, your brain tends to let go of things that don't matter or that your brain decides doesn't matter. So my brain compartmentalizes a lot of stuff so that I can continue to keep going. Isn't our body like really amazing that way? Like, side note, how it will just keep going. And I mean, we feel like we're dying, but our body will just keep taking us and carrying us. And I think that's really a beautiful thing. But yeah, I need to figure out what I'm doing with this letter. I've been sitting on it for 4 days. I sent a message a few days ago that was probably pretty intense and triggering for him. That's cool. Things that he needed to hear. And it's like, I feel like maybe the adults that are supposed to be in that position telling him the things that he needs to hear, that he might not want to hear, but that he needs to hear, I don't think that's happening. I think there's a lot of free time with friends and not a lot of structure when it comes to adults and how to appropriately and healthy ways deal with adults or even connect with them. And I think that I don't know what I fucking think. Let's be real. I don't know what. I'm terrified. Because on one end of the spectrum, me at 16, this would have put a little more respect where there wasn't some. I would have been like, well, damn. I guess I needed to hear that. And that was how I was as you know, a teen, as I needed sometimes those hard things to be said to me. And I just, I'm really stressed because I don't want it to burn a bridge and have him just decide he's just going to completely disconnect.
And I worry that everything he's been led to believe about me will seem true.
When in reality, I'm trying so hard to be a healthy, supportive parent while still respecting what he needs. And it's just really hard because I don't have that access like I normally would. Anyway, this is putting me in a bad mood. I'm gonna go. Yeah, I don't know. I'm done.